Oh, these are going to be a bit of a running joke, I think, in this thing. These are always falling out. My ears are weird shaped, I swear.
That's okay. Well, you look beautiful today.
Oh, thank you.
No, we're in the season of life here where kind of everything breaks at once. Like the oven is broken, the printer, the alternator went out in the truck yesterday, and the rotors. And so, you know,
Yep.
just picking those pieces back up, which I'm very thankful my husband is so handy that he's fixed the alternator, and now he's working on the rotors, and the oven will be next. And
awesome.
But right.
Yep, that's very handy.
Very handy.
I've got a handy husband in a different fashion. He's always fixing software and programming related things for me and automating stuff that I need done. So that's handy.
Well, funny, you do that for me. So
yeah.
I love that. You're definitely my
their own
go-to
work, so I just like give mine away too.
Right? We're always outsourcing in some fashion of our life, right? Personally or professionally.
Indeed. Do you do any personal outsourcing, like cleaners, cooking, anything like that?
Well, so I did think about for a while hiring someone to help me clean, because it's just
It's
like
not a fun job.
Yeah, it's not fun, and I'm like a superficial, not the nitty gritty. And however, my husband really enjoys cleaning, so I've actually outsourced that to him as well, which is really
That's brilliant.
to my benefit, because I love to work. So like, I really love working, and he loves cleaning. He loves working, but you know.
Did you always love working, or do you just mean you love working on your own business?
Maybe that's the key, right?
Yeah. That might have something to do with it.
Yeah, definitely. What about you? Do you outsource anything in your...
Not anymore. We did, when we lived in Australia, we did have someone come help us clean, because we both had full-time jobs and I was setting up my business as well.
Right.
And yeah, it was just not something that either of us enjoyed doing.
Right.
But yeah, that's something that I often see entrepreneurs recommending, that I don't overlook the things like the meal prepping and whatever else. Like if you can get some of that taken off your plate, you'd be surprised how much more efficient you can be in your business, or at least maybe reaching your goals and whatever like lifestyle you want to live.
Right.
You know, we're all doing this because we want more free time, or be with our kids, or to be active outside, or whatever it is. So
right, for sure.
It makes a lot of sense.
We definitely meal prep here. I normally spend the bulk of Sundays cooking, and then we got these like trays, and those really help, because I tray up my husband's food and my children's, and they can just kind of grab and go, and it really helps us not eat a bag of chips for lunch, and when they're hungry they can just, you know, it's a time saver for sure.
Yeah.
During the week. So
well, if you want to send any meal prep my way, I won't say no.
Well, I do recommend the website Budget Bites. We refer to that often, because the way that the lady, I have no idea who runs it, and I'm giving her some promo here, but the way she has kind of divvied it up is lovely, where she really concentrates on portion sizes, and her recipes are actually set up for meal planning and divvying things out.
Like reusing the same ingredients and that kind of thing.
Yes, I enjoy that. It, you know, many things from a few ingredients is really key for us to be successful.
Yes.
And no one needs the same thing in my house, for sure. So.
Well, that doesn't make it easy, does it?
No, not at all. Well, I'm so happy to connect with you today, just on a professional and personal level. You're one of my favorite people to talk to, always rescuing me for website snafus or just questions. You've got so much experience, and your tech brain speaks to my art brain. So.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. That was a good intro.
Well, it's on the fly, right? That's how we go.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I do end up randomly helping people with website things and bits and bobs, random spreadsheets. I don't know. I've always kind of had that drive to tinker and fix.
Right.
Not nearly as much as my husband, because he can overhear me now, and I'm sure that later on he'll be like, but yeah, that's something that's kind of, I feel like, how I ended up where I am, where I've got my own business where I do web design, I do digital marketing, much like you.
Right.
And I got there from it being a hobby, it being an interest, it just being something that I like to do, and then friends need help, and it kind of spiraled out from there.
Right.
How did you get started in your business?
Well, actually, so I think like many entrepreneurs, I fell into this accidentally. I was an art teacher before my digital marketing journey, and I really love art. I love teaching, actually, in fact, and I love art in the fact that, or in the manner that everything is a process and it results in a product, but that journey is not the same for those who travel that process, and no one can make the same product. And we shouldn't. Art should be different and an expression of you. And so that really resonates with me through.
Do you feel like web design is art?
I do. I do feel that it is like a digital art form for me. And the fact that it's creative. You can't replicate someone else's design. You can take aspects that you feel that speak to you, and you're like, oh, I really love this function in this section, but it shouldn't be. You shouldn't take it. And
well, where's the fun in that? That's the creative part. I feel like web design, people can understand how it's creative, I guess, in that you get this beautiful aesthetic visual thing at the end,
right.
But people overlook some of the creativity and the problem solving process as well, which I really like. I think that a lot of us are drawn to web design because it has got both sides, and it doesn't get the credit, I think, for being as creative and artistic as it actually is.
I like that. I like that.
It's technical too, and that's why I like it, because it's both.
It is technical. I'm definitely learning a lot of the technical aspects, and appreciate them for what they are, and how you have to have both sides, like drag and dropping website design from the front end. While you might make a really beautiful
end result.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Oh my God. Yeah. You want to make something beautiful, but if you're not backing it up on the back end, literally with the foundation that it needs, that your design is going to falter, and the fact that,
oh yes,
yeah, it's not going to set you up for success technically, and
I'm glad you said foundations, because that word, I think, can mean a lot of things, and I like to concentrate on the technical foundations of the website, obviously, yes, so that it performs well, it loads fast, it's secure, you know, yes, that kind of thing. But the strategic foundation is something that I think not everyone pays enough attention to, perhaps, or doesn't give enough credit to that process of strategically designing a website. What's your marketing goals? You know, who are your audience? And that's not something that I had as part of my approach or part of my business. At the beginning, like, I came from the web design, from the technical side first, really, and then the aesthetics came in, and then way later the strategy came in. And yeah, that's been a kind of part of my journey that I've really enjoyed over the last few years, is getting into that marketing strategy side of things.
So please elaborate. When you talk about strategic planning for future audiences and conversion, do you mean thinking about like setting up your website for how you will nurture your potential clients when they come on? Because you want your website to work for you, right? In the sense that you will collect data and information, maybe from analytics and tracking, or should you set up an opt-in, or these kinds of strategic foundations?
That's actually brilliant. None of the examples you said just then were examples that were in my mind, but they're all perfect examples as well. You need to think about what you want under the hood. What tracking do we need to have set up at the beginning? It's really a shame sometimes when I get a new client or a new project, and they've had a website for years and they've not had Google Analytics or the Facebook Pixel or anything else on it that enables us to get insights on their audience and who visits their site. We don't even sometimes know how much traffic they get, let alone who is in that traffic, you know?
Right.
So yeah, setting up your, being strategic at the beginning, making sure that you have those building blocks in place, that you install the tracking codes, you know, at the beginning, even if you don't have plans yet for what you do with it, how you would market to your audience, just being able to collect that data and have it to refer to later is very important. And I also think what you said there about the conversions and the opt-ins, it's having those conversations with the client, or if I guess you're DIYing your website, just sitting down and thinking about that yourself. What do I want people to do once they come to my site? It used to be a pretty simple answer. It was a brochure. It was, you know, the equivalent of picking up a paper brochure in a store, and it's got contact details at the end.
Just
and that was
informational.
It was informational and send me an inquiry. And that's really all there used to be. And now there can be so much more. There's all, I mean, all the funnels and things like that that we talk about. It's something that if you know at the beginning what you want your audience to do when they come to your site, and that could be to download your lead magnet, your first step, your opt-in for your funnel. Then if you know that at the beginning and you know what the opt-in is, you know who the audience is, then that actually makes a huge difference to how you write everything that goes on the site.
Okay, yes.
And then what's written on the site makes a huge difference to how you design the layout of the page. So I kind of feel like it needs to be done in that order to get the best end result. You can skip steps, and you can put placeholder text in, and you can update it later when you change your mind. There it goes again. But the more of that you can think through at the beginning, the better, I think.
So that makes me, we had talked briefly before about content. Wait, let me just check.
Content
what are your
design?
thoughts on content first design? And that really segues into that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've written a few pieces on content first design recently, actually, because that's something about my process that changed over the years. And I used to be all about the design. Like, you make a page and I'm like, I want a header and I want, you know, these colors, and kind of build as you go. Maybe you haven't, whether I'm building for myself or for a client, we haven't necessarily got all of that written material, or even all of, when we say content in terms of content first design, it isn't just the words, you know, that there's images and videos and testimonials and products at the store, and like all of the content for the site. You can start without that. You can build a design, you know, you can get a templated thing, and you can get a certain distance in the project without the content. But I think the earlier you bring the content in, ideally at the very beginning, because of that strategic approach you can then take, the better. I think it really improves your the marketing power of your site, because it's designed and written and built in a way to achieve a goal. Right,
we really laid those foundations first, right?
Exactly.
And how crucial. I've learned the hard way, actually, and recently, that, and now I'm a huge proponent of content first, because you know, even simple things such as your branding identity standards can make such a difference. And when you see things on paper and then put them on, like, color is so powerful, you know, going back to my art teacher days, color speaks so much to people, and you can have some beautiful colors that you've established as your branding identity standards, but then when you put them on the web, they're not right, or they're not right for the web. And so really clarifying what those visual standards are to complement your written word is powerful. And so I'm making sure that I have those solidified for myself and for my clients before we dive in.
You created something along those lines, didn't you, recently? Something about how to write the content for your site.
I did, yes. So I found that my clients were having trouble. They're just having trouble focusing, and I get that, because my dad.
Oh, I don't think that's just your clients. I think that's a hard thing to do, to build a website. Like, there's a lot. It's not something that we've developed our expertise over the years of what information needs to go on it, in what order do we present the information, and also even things like the web is a different format. You would display the information differently in a printed format or over a video,
Exactly.
and the amount you say and the way you say it changes because the format's different. So it's not everyone has that ability to know how to write and think for the format of the web. Why would they?
Well, especially when it's your first go and you have so many passion products for your business, and different realms speak to each other differently, and just narrowing the focus of how should I speak about myself? How should I speak about my business? Let me really clarify the mission that I have. And when you can clarify it for yourself, you can then clarify it for the audience you want to speak to and how you want to serve them with your products and your services, and really refine to the most important benefits versus features. Because I really think that that's key also, because how you speak to your audience and tell them how you will benefit them is completely different than marketing the features that you may have for a business. And so I've tried to refine some of that and just give a journey to travel instead of going this way, just focusing this way, and writing your copy for yourself. That it doesn't have to be hard, it just needs to be organized in a fashion.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And have someone walk you through those steps. That makes a big difference.
And then we'll get it to the format needed for the web, right?
Yeah, well, then that's when you come in, because now that you've got the information, you can style it, you can design it, you know how to help convert an audience, from a visitor to a lead to a customer, through all of the, not just the design, not just the layout, but the way that the words are written and what's being spoken about. They're all equally important.
For sure, it is important.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, you were talking in the beginning about kind of being the fix-it. You really like to find the plugs or fill and be the plug in the leaks up in the systems. Is that something that you really love in your business, aside from web design and kind of making the puzzle fit together?
Yeah, I think so. I think as a web designer who I guess then branched out, expanded into marketing strategy and creating content for people, one thing I found was that once I established that relationship with a client, they come to me for more than just those things. Then it starts to be questions about their email or a piece of software that they're using, because you've got that relationship of trust and they know that you're technically savvy. So I then find I've got this kind of, I guess, plethora of other little things to tinker with. I've got a spreadsheet that someone wants, a formula for, or a script that used to do something, but they wish it was like slightly different because now something else has changed and they don't have their old yada, yada, yada. There's always like just something. And I do enjoy those little tasks. I really like it because it's like a quick win cycle, usually in the space of half an hour or 3 or 4 hours. You've got something that was a problem and then a solution. You've got a complete fix and you can give it to someone and then their day is made. You've saved them hours usually, or you've done something that's just an immediate quick win. And I do like those.
It's gratifying for you and the client for sure, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I enjoy that as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you get to do anything artistic, like little things like that for your clients?
Yes.
Maybe a pair of socks, for example, which I love.
It did. So actually, that's how I got started in this. Before, I was an art teacher, and then I learned that the conventional school setting was not for me, just for a plethora of reasons. So consequently, I am a homeschooling mom. Kind of. I send my kids to forest school, but that's a whole different conversation. And I was learning like how I needed to transition to work from home. And so I made products such as your socks and t-shirts and vinyl decals and wraps and all things like sublimation and heat press. And I had set up a shop on Etsy. and realized that while Etsy can be a great platform, it just wasn't what I wanted to market myself appropriately. So I learned WordPress web design, and this was years ago, and loved it. And simultaneously at the same time, I really wanted to continue teaching art, just not in the school system. So I created an art workshop business where I created like educational, foundational, because I didn't want to just paint flowers to be painting flowers. I wanted to learn about Monet and, you know, why he was painting the flowers, or, you know, something, so we could learn while we were enjoying art. And so
there's more depth to explore, and there's so much richness. Yeah.
And we did these in my community. I found my home, not so much with children, but in nursing homes with the elderly, and it was just wonderful. And I marketed myself to make this a reality for me.
A real thing, yeah. Something, yeah.
That's how I found my way here. I'm losing track of the original question because
that you had asked about like art and things that you get to do creatively, and then we talked about the socks. And how your journey.
And that's how I got here. And so I don't make products so much anymore. I do with my children. And in fact, I have recently gotten my easel out and some oil paints, because I will teach art lessons in my home occasionally and still do that realm, but it's time for me to dive in. And so the oil paints, they don't go bad. They're ready and waiting for me.
Awesome.
For sure.
What about your business? What are your plans next with or what? Are you on a trajectory?
I am. I'm really refining. I think the quarantine, because we're still kind of on semi-quarantine here, and just as a parent, we're choosing to self-quarantine still. And I've learned a lot about the direction I want to take my business. I love web design, and I'm really studying the techie side here with your guidance for sure. And I love doing graphics such as YouTube thumbnails and lead magnets and ebooks and, you know, social media. And I love the content creation. And I think this falls into kind of like the curriculum style learning that I have that teacher foundation of. I love the strategy, and then creating those social media graphics and writing the strategy and then passing it to my peer to help implement. So I'm learning, you know, what facets I love. And I think that's the direction I'll continue to go. And creating courses, I love that.
Yes, I feel like we're on a very similar trajectory there. So, I mean, I've been doing web design in some way, shape or form for
a long time.
For a long time. Let's not count the parts when I was like 11 and doing it as a hobby. But if we start from when I was doing it professionally and being paid, that's still been over 10 years.
Right.
And over that time, I've added in all these other things like we've been speaking about. So it's always been fresh and new and exciting, and there's more to dig into. But I think the next level of that journey is that strategic layer and being able to step back and being able to have things in place that I've got a repeatable system that I can teach other people to do. Like you said, build courses. You got started doing that with your, you know, creating a content for your website, a DIY thing like that. I'm really thriving with that kind of stuff at the moment. I'm enjoying making it, and I feel like that happens sometimes. You get a wave of excitement and you just want to do more, and you get this prolific kind of productivity. And quarantine has been good and bad for that. Sometimes there's all of this time to spend doing things like that, doing that foundational work and setting up new courses and moving into a place in my business where I can be strategic for others in a bigger way, I suppose. And then have that not be, I don't want to say bogged down by, because I do enjoy the implementation, but the implementation is time consuming, and then you at a capacity, you're at a limit of how many people you can help. So yeah, to be able to move more into that strategic realm and do courses and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to next in my business as well.
Well, I I hope to follow your journey still.
Thank you.
And I know I'm going to learn a lot from you in your courses. So I'm looking forward to when you promote those, and
thanks.
I definitely will be signing up for sure.
Awesome.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for connecting with me today. And
my pleasure. It's a wonderful way to start the day.
Yes, you're just getting started there, right?
Yes. Yes, it's approaching 9 a.m. now.
Well, so you've got a great foundation.
I do. My head's switched on already for the day. Thanks very much.
And the business mindset to keep on pushing forward. So,
yay.
Well,
Perfect.
I hope to connect soon, and thank you for your time.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.